I suppose my interest in medicine started as a young person growing up amidst the troubles of West Belfast, in the 70s particularly. My mother was a nurse in the emergency department of the largest hospital in Belfast. And when the troubles broke out, literally she and her colleagues were dealing with bomb and bullet victims. And she'd come home and tell us some of the gory stories. And I suppose, though I've never asked her directly, she may in part have told us those gory stories with a mother's concern for making sure that we didn't become a gunman or a bomber. And then, and interestingly, Belfast and this particular hospital, because of the Troubles, developed a lot of cutting-edge procedures, which were a result of the bombing and bullet injuries to people. So, for example, but used in car crash victims. For example, titanium plates that are used for head injuries. The Royal Victoria Hospital, the hospital where my mother worked, developed some very interesting procedures with titanium plates because they had to try to fix bomb victims, and they were used for many victims of motor accidents. And then when I went to London to finish my postgraduate studies in journalism, there was an option for medical specialty. Even though, to be honest, I think that master's degree that I did in London at City University, in those days there were only two, believe it or not, two universities in all of England, Ireland, Scotland and Wales that offered journalism studies. Undergraduate or graduate, and so I was well positioned in London, of course, but I took the medical specialty. But in all honesty, I didn't learn that much about medicine. I went to various visits to various science and medical centres, but I don't remember learning an awful lot. Then when I immigrated to the United States, I lucked out because I ended up, after working at the United Nations Media Centre and then for Scripps Harbor Broadcasting, I ended up in the Midwest. I followed love. Now, the love didn't work out, but the rest worked out pretty fine for me because I got a job on a daily newspaper. It was quite a large circulation, maybe about 260, 270,000 a day, morning paper. And my first job was general assignment reporter, so I would start at 3 p.m. in the afternoon, and I would kind of finish when the last murder happened, or at least the last murder before deadline, and that was around 1 in the morning.
What's the name of the paper?
Kansas City Star-Times. Actually, I had the very same job as a fellow who's not so well known as I had decades before me, Ernest Hemingway, because he had the very same position. Basically, you were covering cops. So you were covering hostage situations and drug shootings and such like. But I did that by day, but I noticed that newspaper didn't have a medical correspondent. So I would finish at midnight 1. I couldn't go to sleep, so there was a little jazz club. There was actually a well-known jazz number called, is it 18th and Vine, which is 2 cross streets in Kansas City, where a lot of the jazz musicians would come after the clubs closed. And I would go there also just to give my head a rest. And I would go home around 6 in the morning, have a good sleep, and get up around maybe 1 in the afternoon. And I would go off on my own initiative